Sleeper cars are some of the coolest cars on the market, and today I'm going to talk about a bunch of them that you can buy for under £40,000. Let's get straight into it. If you want to see a different price range, let me know in the comments down below what you'd like to see, and hit the like button, 1,000 likes and I'll make another sleeper video. Subscribe as well if you're one of the 77% of people who haven't subscribed while watching this video right now. Let's take a look at these cars. Let's kick this video off with the Peugeot 508 SW Peugeot Sport engineered, a lovely fast estate that comes with the return of that classic Peugeot Sport mark with more modern flair. This Peugeot comes with a 1.6 litre turbocharged inline-4 engine, making 350 brake horsepower, taking it to 60 in 5 seconds, and it's all-wheel drive too to help get that power down to the roads. It actually comes as both a saloon and an estate, but you've got to go estate if you want true sleeper vibes. It does look pretty good and might actually turn a couple of heads, but I reckon most people won't know much about them and will just see the Peugeot badge. Interiors are just as good looking as the exterior, but I will say Peugeot need to start backing this car up with some other cars in the PSE lineup, otherwise they'll rapidly turn to being boring cars again. These will run you around £32,000 at the bottom end, and at our 40k limit you'll be getting a 2024 model with 5,000 miles on the clock. They're also therefore too new to really talk about reliability. The main complaints owners have noted, however, include them not being as engaging as you might like to drive. It's not a car you see often in the UK, and it's certainly not one you expect to be packing such a huge amount of power, so the Jeep Grand Cherokee SRT has to be included as a sleeper within our price range. That's mostly because of its ridiculous powertrain, a 6.4 litre V8 block which makes 461 brake horsepower, taking it to 60 in 4.8 seconds. Not bad for an SUV of its size, though of course not quite as quick as the supercharged Trackhawk. These got some pretty cool features like 6-piston Brembo brakes on the front and 4 pistons on the rear, leather seats, multiple suspension modes including a track mode, and even a launch mode. These are tied together nicely with an infotainment system that displays engine stats and quarter-mile performance and the likes to really drive home the point that this is an SRT. £30,000 is enough to get you into one of these, and 40k is enough for a 2016 model with 10,000 miles on it. Lifter failure is the most catastrophic issue with these, suspension issues are known, and there are some other reliability and build quality questions raised by owners. Volvo are probably the kings of the sleeper car world, particularly with their estates, but today we're going to talk about the saloon version of an estate, because not only is it a sleeper, it's one of the more feared cars out on the road, the Volvo S90 T8. This car screams unmarked police car, and though yes, unmarked can basically be any car, the S90 is definitely one people associate with the British Rozzers. And any police officers who get the chance to drive an S90 are getting a 2 litre twin-charged inline-4 engine, combining with electric power to produce 401 brake horsepower, taking the super saloon to 60 in 4.6 seconds, and to me this might actually be the most sleeperish sleeper on this list. Early ones did have a couple of issues as it was Volvo's first foray into PHEVs, so for the updated model they made a few powertrain changes, getting rid of the supercharger. But these are pretty stunning, sleek and simple, and blacked out with a couple of Polestar bits you're in something pretty cool. You'll find these starting anywhere from around £16,000, and you get the updated models from 2023 with 15,000 miles on the clock for 40k. Onto the step down from the lovely BMW M3 Touring, the BMW M340i Touring. It looks a touch more aggressive than your average 3 Series estate, but still nowhere near as beefy as that M3. These come with a proper BMW engine too, a 3 litre turbocharged inline-6, producing 368 brake horsepower, taking them to 60 in 4.5 seconds, which is pretty decent for a car with the second lowest power on this list. While they're not far off an M car in terms of pace, they don't really have the same edge when it comes to handling and performance. But then when you buy a fast estate, are you really looking for a hot hatch or a hot Grand Tourer? In my head it's probably the latter, and the M340i offers great Grand Touring abilities, saves you on fuel over the M3, and is just a bit more sensible. They'll run you around £32,000 at the bottom end, and £40,000 will nab you a 2021 example with 12,000 miles on the clock. Again, as it's quite new, there's not much to report on reliability, though some owners have had snagging issues early doors. It's one of the rarest cars on this list now, so if you're a car enthusiast it might actually be the kind of car that will get your head turning, but the Lexus GS F is a lovely luxury saloon with a pretty insane powertrain. That's a 5 litre V8 block which makes 470 brake horsepower, taking it to 60 in 4.5 seconds, so this car is basically a competitor to cars like the BMW M5. The GSF comes with some serious kit to match that V8, like the Brembo brakes, but it's also known to have quite a supple ride, which is great if you're cruising, though some owners have complained that they don't handle quite how you like them to, and the gearboxes aren't quite quick enough to give you the true true ability to attack. The interiors are clad in carbon fibre though, and the finish is sublime compared to a lot of German competitors, so for their intended purpose they do really well. These start at around the 35k mark and they're incredibly hard to come by, so at 40k we'll be looking at a 2016 model with 55,000 miles on the clock. That engine is also known to be incredibly reliable, so you're in good hands in one of these. So I hope you guys are enjoying this video. If you are, then do hit the like button and subscribe as well if you're new, and let me know in the comments down below, what is the most iconic sleeper car? A car so iconic that you simply couldn't call it a sleeper anymore. Next up we have our final estate, the Mercedes E53 AMG, which is the baby brother to the E63 AMG with a slightly less potent engine, less aggressive looks, but all in still a nice AMG experience. This toning down definitely helps its case as a sleeper, especially as it doesn't sound anywhere near as aggressive as the E63 does. That's because it doesn't have a V8. Instead it gets a 3-litre turbocharged inline-6, and it's a hybrid, so it makes 428 brake horsepower total, taking it to 60 in 4.4 seconds, so slightly over a second to 60 slower than the E63S. The idea behind these though is to give you all the power you can possibly need and all the handling you could want. It's enough rather than everything, if that makes any sense. I also think they look significantly better on the interiors than the exteriors, a hallmark of any good sleeper. £27,000 is enough to get you into one of these, and 40k will get you a 2019 model with around 26,000 miles on the clock. Most issues owners note on forums are related to the non-engine electrics, and there are questions about the interior finish. It wouldn't be fair to make this list without a couple of EVs, and the first we'll talk about is the Polestar 2 Performance. Now we've gone through a bunch of combustion engine cars so far from some serious brands, yet this family compact executive car slaps a whole bunch of them up from a 0 to 60 perspective. This EV actually gets to 60 in 4.1 seconds and puts out 469 brake horsepower, and of course its sleeper status is helped by Polestar being a subsidiary of Volvo, the kings of sleepers that I mentioned before. It's not on a level with the BST edition, which gets some serious stuff like Öhlins shocks, but as it also doesn't look as aggressive, it only adds to the sleeper status, just the interiors are a bit bare. £32,000 will get you into one of these now, and 40k will get you near as makes no difference a new model, though I of course wouldn't recommend that as you're fronting a lot of depreciation still. Early doors these did have some snagging issues, but now that we're a few years into them, they've got a 92% reliability rating according to Whatcar, which is pretty decent. On to the top 3 now, and in third we have the Audi S8 from the D4 generation A8. It's a bit of a weird car given it's both a luxury car and a performance car simultaneously, but it's that luxury that helps it to tone down the overall aggressiveness from the other S and RS cars made by Audi, making it that bit more of a sleeper. The S8 comes with a 4-litre twin turbocharged V8 engine, making 512 brake horsepower, taking it to 60 in 4.1 seconds, matching the Polestar. That engine is also found in the Bentley Continental GT, and it's kind of an alternative to the Bentley Flying Spur, just with more focus on performance than just wafting. It also got a Plus model with even more power, which if spec'd correctly would cost more than the W12 A8L, the most luxury focused version of this car. Pre-facelift examples are the cheapest cars on this list, starting around £15,000, with 40k getting you a post-facelift 2016 model with around 55,000 miles on the clock. Common problems include the oil separator, bushings and control arms, thermostat, water pump and motor mounts. I'd love to say the Jaguar F-Pace SVR has only just missed out on the top spot on this video, but it hasn't. The top spot is significantly quicker, but this big SUV is still the best acceleration you'll get from a combustion engine in this video. This is the practical SUV equivalent of the Jaguar F-Type with the same engine, a 5-litre supercharged V8 block, making 542 brake horsepower, taking it to 60 in 3.9 seconds. Not bad for a car that weighs over 2,000 kilograms. It does look quite beefy, but not as aggressive as an F-Type SVR. It's a touch more subdued. Sound-wise though, these are not subtle at all. That V8 sounds absolutely monstrous with similar acoustic tuning to that F-Type. Their interiors are also pretty strange, more like what you'd expect in a GT3 car than an SUV. To get into one of these, you'll need to spend around £37,000, so it's the most expensive car on the list, and at 40k you'll be getting a 2019 model with 25,000 miles on it. Some build-related issues on the interiors in particular are known on these by owners, but broadly they've been pretty reliable, even if they aren't the most economical cars. Taking the top spot in this video is a car with ludicrous lights racing performance for a pretty average-looking executive saloon-style car, which is funny because it's the Tesla Model S Ludicrous. This thing is quicker to 60 than the new McLaren W1 hypercar. This EV produces 605 brake horsepower, taking it to 60 in 2.3 seconds. Absolutely astonishing. The only thing I'll say though is that this is really what these cars are all about, a party piece off the line. That's about it. For most people, a Model S will just look like a Model S, so the fact that you're looking at a 600 brake horsepower monster goes completely under the radar. Add on the near silence of an EV and that pretty plain interior, and you really drive home that sleeper point. 30k will get you into one of these now, and 40k is enough for a 2019 model with 45,000 miles on it. Some issues on these have included leaking cooling pumps for the battery pack and some bad build quality problems, but luckily Tesla have been pretty good at resolving problems for owners reasonably quickly. The worst thing that gave these some pretty bad press though was them catching fire. Now, if you want to see another sleeper car, my sleeper car, then do click on screen right now. Thanks for watching. Thanks to the patrons for their support as well. Do hit like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.